Hey, hi, hello, welcome to the show. Matt Murdock is getting festive in Marvel Rivals. So, naturally, I thought now would be a good a time as any to make a video about the Blind Guardian, the devil of Hell's Kitchen himself, Daredevil. You're watching my very first time playing as him, so enjoy this ass gameplay as we go through his comic evolution. Out of all of his skins in the game, this is the only one that actually appears in the comics, showing up in Daredevil number 7 from 2011. But before we can appreciate this wonderful skin in all of its joyous splendor, we gotta get our little hands dirty. To do that, we go to the comics. If it's your first time here, we go all the way back. We look at these Marvel Rivals characters through a character design lens to trace their aesthetic evolution with heavy appreciation for the artists and creators responsible for them. In other words, I'm not afraid to point fingers. Luckily, Marvel Rivals has more hits than misses, which makes for much more positive videos on my end. There are always some stinkers, clunkers, and misfires along the way though, and to be honest, those are sometimes the most fun. So, back we go. Written by Stan Lee and penciled by Bill Everett, issue 1 of Daredevil came out in 1964. One of the first things that jumps out to me about the design is the use of the color yellow. Daredevil is more closely associated with deep reds, so to see him rocking this Hulk Hogan color palette 20 years before the rise of Hulk Hogan himself is noticeably striking in the year 2025. As far as his silhouette and his body language are concerned, this design doesn't exactly excite me upon first glance. He looks like a basic superhero in standard poses. The devil is in the details with this one though. The horns on the mask are an inspired choice, and they elevate an otherwise dull design into something truly iconic. The horns are another stroke of genius by the creatives on this book because they make sense from a narrative perspective. Sure, you can just make a devil character and the first thing you'd give him or her are horns. But what makes the horns interesting here is that they're informed by the character's environment, that being of Hell's Kitchen, New York. He's not just the devil of Hell's Kitchen, he's the man without fear. He's Daredevil. Big horns wouldn't elicit the same feeling as small horns. The small horns make Daredevil seem more nimble and athletic somehow. Even though he is a superhuman after that radioactive cylinder hit him in the face, Matt still continues to use the cane. This is another bit of informed character design. He doesn't just have a cane as a gimmick, he was hit by a truck, giving him a cane narratively, and in order to keep his identity hidden, he keeps the cane as a decoy. The cane serves as a function to the character and to the story being told. So, while at first I was shocked by the sheer amount of yellow being used, upon closer inspection and after reading the book, I gotta say, I love it. Matt just made this suit out of a bunch of old shirts. No wonder it's so gaudy. As an early DIY attempt at making a hero costume, this design kinda slaps. Truly inspired character design on display from the boys in the bullpen on this one. We won't be hitting every costume or look along the way, just enough to get a sense of the main evolution beats. That being said, the Daredevil suit stayed yellow for about 6 issues, and on the 7th month of the run, Hell's Kitchen's most muscular went all red. On the cover, he shares the spotlight with the Submariner named Moore. I did a whole video on that dude too. Watch that video after this video. Since there's not much change in the way of texture, style, or silhouette here, I want to take this moment to talk about Daredevil's logo. Initially, it was just a single D plastered on his chest. That lasted about 4 issues, and on issue 5, his interlocking double D logo would be revealed on the cover. This is a wonderful change, and along with the all red everything, the design for Daredevil came together rather quickly. They didn't nail it off rip, but within half a year, this character was dialed in, bro. And to be honest, they made the not so great design make sense from a story perspective, so I can't really complain. Let's scoot to 1979 when Frank Miller began drawing for the book on issue 158. Frank went on to become a legend in the comic book industry for redefining the superhero genre itself with The Dark Knight Returns. But before all that, Frank was drawing Daredevil. Let's see what the editors had to say about Frank hopping on the book. Quote, "From time to time, a truly great new artist will explode upon the Marvel scene like a bombshell. Ramblin' Roger McKenzie, Kinky Klaus Janson, Joe Rosen, Geo, Russos, amiable Al Milgram, and Jim Troubleshooter confidently predict newcomer lanky Frank Miller is just such an artist. End quote. And oh boy, were they ever right. You can tell right away there was something special going on here. Frank showed his dominance with his first crack at the character. One thing I haven't mentioned yet was Daredevil's weapons. The baton and holster make for a cool, unique weapon on its own, but as far as the shape communication and silhouette are concerned, these elements make Daredevil even more recognizable without being a burden to his visual appeal. There are no unsightly big pouches or straps clogging up the design, nor are there any fancy handles or embellishments. Everything with this Daredevil is simple, sleek, and intentional. Up until this point, Daredevil wasn't exactly an A-list hero, and by the early 80s, sales began to dip a little bit. Exactly 10 issues from the time Frank Miller was brought on to pencil the book, he was also brought in to write it. He wrote from issues 168 to 191 and wrapped up his initial run in February of 1983. In 1986, the definitive Daredevil story would be told when Miller returned to the book to write the Born Again story arc. This time, he wouldn't have to do all the work, as David Mazzucchelli would pencil the tale. The arc began with issue 227 and ran until issue 233. The art in the book is stunning, but as far as design is concerned, Daredevil is looking more jacked than ever. This is one big beefy boy silhouette. I'm on page 3 of this script, so I may as well bring up another permanent trait of his. That would be Matt Murdock's red hair. Oftentimes, red hair is used to communicate that a character is an outcast or otherwise a weirdo in some way. Those tropes are lame and tired. It's clear to me that this pigment was thematically chosen to represent him being the devil of Hell's Kitchen. His alter ego, Matt Murdock, dresses rather modestly due to the fact that he's a full-on lawyer, so he can't really be wearing bright red things. Normally. That really wouldn't make sense to him as a character unless it was like a bright red tie or socks. Using red as his hair color means red can be used as this character's main color in and out of alter egos. Red in color theory can be used to represent everything from rage to urgency. That juxtaposition to Daredevil and by proxy Matt Murdock's personality is another example of inspired character design. The Daredevil superhero design leans to favor style, where the unmasked version is portrayed more functionally. Like if he dressed like a carny, it would totally take you out of the story. Matt Murdock has to dress like a lawyer. The puffer jacket they put on him in the second chapter of this story falls into the same function category. Matt Murdock needs it to stay warm in the cold and snowy New York City. If you haven't read much Daredevil, this is a great jumping on point. The Daredevil design has looked much the same throughout all the iterations. That is until Marvel Rivals comes around to totally redesign the character. For the Rivals look, they leaned heavily into his samurai influence. I adore what they did with his supersuit in the game. It's textured and layered, giving him a much more interesting silhouette. The mask no longer covers his full head. It's kind of like a half mask, leaving his mouth and chin and back of head totally exposed. Functionally, I don't know if that works, but from a style perspective, it looks hella sick. The use of black as a secondary color and the gold accents are nice ways of separating the elements of the suit so that they can all be read clearly. It's tough because the Daredevil design has endured for so long, so redesigning him would be a big risk. Dino Ma and the design team at Marvel Rivals cracked the code though, and this dude looks awesome. That's all well and good and all, but we're here to talk about his Christmas sweater. In 2011, Marvel would begin running Daredevil under a brand new numbering system, and this now immortalized sweater appears briefly for a few pages in issue 7. You see, Matt Murdock's law firm is throwing a Christmas party, and this is how he just shows up to it. I don't want to spoil the whole story, but let's just say Matt gets pretty flirty in this Christmas fit. It's Christmas, it's festive. Now he's allowed to wear bright reds as a lawyer. And that bright red that he's wearing is that bright red sweater that proclaims that he is not Daredevil. It's accessorized with a cute pair of party horns and a candy cane walking cane to tie it all together. We don't get a great shot of his legs or feet, but it's looking like he's rocking some Levi's. some blue jeans. In the game, he's designed wearing brown dress shoes, which would 100% be the kind of shoes that a dude like Matt Murdock would wear. In the book, he's never shown from behind wearing the sweater, but I'm happy Marvel Rivals put a little something there to make it more interesting than just flat red. They understand the player sees the back of the model when they're playing, so adding this little element shows me that they wanted to make for a more engaging player experience. I don't recognize the emblem from something else, so I'm going to assume that this is something that the devs whipped up. It's a cute little snowman devil dude wearing a scarf with white snowflake embellishments. The comic book had him wearing jeans, but I like what they did in the game a little bit more. The khaki trousers, brown dress shoes, and matching red socks look incredibly sharp. This looks like a buff, casually dressed blind lawyer going to his work party. The red cane has been modified to suit the needs of the battlefield. The devs turned the superhero batons into the candy canes that are used on his streetwear cane in the comics. This is a tremendous adaptation. One detail that I enjoy about this look is the horned headband. It lights up and flickers as if it was just picked up at the dollar store on the way to the soiree. Marvel Rivals always impresses me with the deep cut outfits that they include in the game. These skins reward the player for actually reading the comic books and playing the game. I didn't include any of the live action designs in this video because I wanted to stay pretty focused on the comics and the game. But if any of those are cool, let me know which ones they are. Are you a Daredevil fan? Do you have a favorite look? Comment down below. Oh, and by the way, I can be found streaming Marvel Rivals on my main YouTube channel, link below. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye, see you later, and have a good one.